You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared.
In this digital society, making connections is quickly becoming a lost art form. Yet, if you are a small business owner, building your network is the only way you can get ahead. Can these skills be learned? You bet they can. Read Nose to Nose Networking. No-nonsense, in-person networking tips from a master. Who's the master? Well, who better to teach networking and friend-building skills than a golden retriever? The author, Melanie Hope, takes the antics of Abigail and translates them into the human experience. Through Abby, you will learn how to set your intention, build a network, and get into and out of conversations with grace. If you love the Dog Abby segments on Counterculture-Wise Radio, you will love Nose to Nose Networking even more. Find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hard copy, Kindle, and Nook. Visit counterculturewise.com for direct links.
Greetings and salutations, Counterculture-Wise listeners. This is Maximilian von Riegelbieser inviting you and yours to listen to me and mine. Join me, my sisters Abby and Fritzy, and my weekly guests, my father Jim and Mumsy Melanie, for Counterculture-Wise.
Max, it's not your show!
And we're not your guests, Max. We're the hosts. You may want to rein it in a little bit, buddy.
Very well. Tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific at counterculturewise.com for our amazing live variety show. You can even chat with us. If you ask me, though, it should be called Counterculture Max.
Counterculture Wise! Radio with heart and mind.
Got a spare tire around that waist? Is your muffin top over the top? Do you binge eat uncontrollably? We are the government and we are here to help you. Here at our free FEMA weight loss camp, we have numerous ways to help you shed those unsightly, unwanted pounds. FEMA, or Fatties Eating Mitigated, automatically has a communist-style weight loss czar that specializes in centralized weight loss planning and communal extended fasting programs to shed that fat away in no time. Skin and boned means extra toned is the motto. Just remember, there is no way you can do it on your own. We will forcefully assist you into compliance. Failure is not an option in this utopian wonderland. How fantastic. Typical workout regimes include digging ditches and restocking them with dirt, building railways and more. Get life skills while you get lean. How do you join? Simple. Recite the Constitution in a public commons or violate the Patriot Act that includes simple misdemeanors. It's really that easy to get your own fenced-in slice of Americana. Stop being a fatty. The state is your daddy.
If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. Are You Ready is an NP Media Group production and is the official broadcast of the Zombie Outpost in Wilmington, Ohio. The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast are those of the host and not that of the station, advertisers, or its affiliates. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. You never know when an emergency is going to happen. Disaster can strike at any time. Whether stuck on the road, riding out a power outage, escaping a natural disaster, or surviving a doomsday apocalypse, what would you do? No matter the scale, whether 1 hour or 1 year, will you survive? You're about to hear what it takes to be prepared. Now ask yourself, are you ready? Have you ever heard the term prepper? What comes to mind? Some of you may think it's a crazy guy with a bomb shelter and an old army truck parked on the front lawn. Well, prepper simply is a person who is ready for almost any emergency, small or large. It's no different than on a rainy day taking an umbrella with you when you leave your home or putting a coat on when it's cold outside. So maybe you think you're prepared for a brief time in a certain environment. But what if a few minutes turn into a day or even a year? I'm your host, Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper, and I'm going to use my over 25 years of prepping and survival experience and knowledge in this program to help you and your family to handle almost anything, from a small event to a doomsday apocalypse. So get ready, because I am prepared to enlighten you to seriously think, prepare, and answer the question, are you ready? And I want to hear anything you have to say about the subject, whatever you may have to offer. You see, it's important that we share our knowledge with each other, learn from each other, and help each other out. You see, the more prepared those around us are, the better your chances of survival will be when a disaster happens. So I'm sure everyone has heard the term zombies. Well, those are just those that are not prepared and come after whatever you have. This is a live call-in show. The call-in number is 513-815-6336 if you want to be a part of the show. Also, check out our live chat room on Spreaker.com. And I also post exclusive content on the home of Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram. Just go to Are You Ready Radio. You can interact with other members of the prepping community before, during, and after the broadcast. Share your knowledge. Again, the call-in number is 513-815-6336. So here we are. The weather is warming up, and it's that time of the year when you may be planning a camping trip or maybe thinking about trying camping. Maybe you're going camping for the first time. In this episode, I want to cover some great tips. If you're a newbie, and even if you're an advanced camper, you may pick up some things as well. Also, feel free to call or chat if you have a camping tip that you would like to share. I'm going to be sharing quite a few of mine in this episode. I'm going to break down this episode into a few different parts, like planning, some general tips for beginners, cooking and food storage, tent and sleeping tips, and just, I guess, everything else you can lump into the last part, mostly like clothing activities and kind of all the other stuff that may go along with camping. So, like I said, maybe you're thinking about doing this for the first time, or maybe part of your prepping plan, you're thinking that maybe it's a good time to learn how to go camping, live outdoors. Camping is a great way to get some experience in living outdoors, and depending on how advanced you get and what you're doing while you're camping, it's a great time to really brush up on some very primitive skills. And if you're a newbie to camping, it's just fun, maybe just cheating and using all the easy tools and devices out there just to start a fire and enjoy a hot dog and some s'mores. And just relax. Really, it's all what you make it. So, if this is part of your prepping plan, living outdoors, see how you do. And maybe if you're thinking of camping, it just seems like a lot of fun, and why not try it? Maybe you're doing it just for the fun of it. Maybe you're a skilled outdoorsy adventure type and want to try out a new campground, or maybe go on a larger, more challenging adventure. Whatever your reason is, planning is the most important part to make sure that you have a good time. You may have seen a few TV shows, and the family heads off to the woods after throwing a few things in the car, and maybe you think, boy, that looks really easy. Maybe last week, little Timmy walked up to you and says, "Mumsy, I want to go camping." Or one day you get the dad, "Let's go camping and eat canned beans like cowboys." Well, you've never done this before, but you say, "Sure, little Timmy, why not?" So, weather's nice out, little Timmy. I'd love to take you camping. And little Timmy's very excited because Daddy's going to show little Timmy all about camping and what a good camper he is. And little Timmy's going to eat beans on a fire like a cowboy and go camping. Well, okay, so the weather's nice and you decide maybe next weekend. Okay, sure, we'll go next weekend. So, you pack as if you're going to check into a hotel, throw a bunch of stuff in a suitcase. You figure, why not? You're waiting all week. You got some stuff to make s'mores and a bag of chips, some hot dogs, a can of beans, maybe some fishing poles, cooler full of soda, some beer for you, and you load up the car and you figure, okay, on the way to the campsite, we're gonna get a tent. Yeah, we need a tent. You go to the store, you buy a tent, your car's all loaded up, you set the GPS, and off you go. Next stop, the best camping trip ever. So you drive about an hour, go to the camp office, you go to get a site, they have nothing available. So you turn around and go home, the end. Okay, now let's assume they did have something available. You got lucky. Okay, hey, you just got in the car, you went there, and hey, they just so happen to have something. So you pull up and, to the spot that you're going to have the best weekend ever camping in, you and little Timmy, and you take the new tent out that you just bought. You sit there and, it's kind of getting dark. You're trying to read the directions. You've never set this up before. And, of course, it's a bit breezy. So the pages are flipping between German, Mandarin, Bengali, Lakota, Persian, Yiddish, Hindu, Japanese, Persian, Hebrew, Navajo, Greek, Spanish, Swedish, and Kashmiri, whatever. Oh, and English. Yeah, forgot about that. You did find the English directions in there somewhere. But so an hour later, you're looking for the flashlight by now, and you thought you had it in the glove compartment of the car, and you decide, okay, fine, we'll just use our cell phones. So both of you are using your cell phones for about an hour now, getting the tent somewhat set up, and they're dead from using them as flashlights, but the tent is at least somewhat, fairly decently, in the form of a tent. There's a pile of extra parts laying there, but that's okay. You got the tent up. Not bad, considering it's dark. You've never done that before. You take a few blankets that you packed. By now, you're beat. You throw them in the tent, you sit down there, you talk about what a wonderful day you're going to have tomorrow, fishing, hiking, swimming in the lake, the hot dogs, that damn can of beans and the s'mores on the fire at night. You both lay down on the ground, and it's hard. It's bumpy. There's sticks poking at you through the floor of that tent. It's rocky, and you spend most of the night tossing and turning, thinking that maybe you should have cleared the ground or picked a better spot. But it's too late now. You're not doing this whole tent thing again. The next morning, you're already up since, it's nice and early because you couldn't sleep anyway, and you're ready to do everything you want to do. But little Timmy is hungry. Well, you packed hot dogs and buns. Those are for later by the fire. You have your soda, s'more stuff. Oh, yeah, that can of beans. But then you won't have a wonderful moment around the fire later. No problem. You also have that bag of chips. So, okay. You tear open the bag of chips, you crack a soda open, and little Timmy thinks it's the best breakfast ever, and that you should go camping every weekend. So you smash that entire bag of chips. Timmy has by now drank all the soda, and you're pretty much already hitting that six-pack because little Timmy's bouncing off the trees, in the trees, off the rocks, in and around the tent from drinking all that soda. So you're ready to kick back a few of those beers, and that you were originally going to have by the fire that night, and when Timmy went to sleep, oh well. So you start rigging your fishing poles and realize that you don't have live bait. That's okay, you got some lures, you figure you'll make do with that. You go to the lake, you take a swim, you come back to the shore, you throw a line in the water, it starts raining. It's a light rain though. That's okay. You can do it. Hey, you're outdoors. I'm getting a little wet. We were just in the lake swimming. Well, it turns into a downpour and it's cold. The sun's gone. You head back to camp. The tent is wet from leaving the flaps open. Okay, well, let's say it didn't rain. So now you're fishing. You're enjoying the lake. Then you go for a hike. You come back at the end of the day and all your food is all over the place. Yeah, the animals came to visit you while you were gone. They sat there in your sight. They feasted on everything that they could get their hands into. They ate everything, or paws, I should say, and it's all gone. The only thing you have left is a few beers and, oh yeah, that damn can of beans. So you're thinking to yourself, I'm not giving up yet. We're going to have the best camping trip ever, no matter what. One more problem, though. You don't have a can opener to open up the beans. You kind of do that, you turn around for a moment as if you're going to open up the kitchen drawer. That you're going to just pull a can opener out where the can opener should be. And you realize that no, it doesn't work that way. Looking at the dilapidated tent in the middle of the woods, and the little remnants of wrappers that your food was in. And no more hot dogs. And you don't have a can opener. That's okay. You did what any dad would have done to make sure little Timmy is happy. You crack open 2 beers and you and little Timmy get completely smashed. And of course now both of you were able to sleep on the rocky ground one more night. Well, the next morning you get up, throw everything in the car, and you head home. You're thinking to yourself, the whole way home, why would anybody want to go camping? Well, just like any vacation, it takes a bit of planning, it takes a bit of preparation to ensure that you have a good time. If you know what you're doing, it can be fun, enjoyable, and very relaxing. And that's what I'm here to help you with in this episode. And I want to kind of break it down for you. So during the break, think about the story I just told and try to figure out what went wrong and how almost all those problems could have been avoided. And I also want to hear from you. So if you would like to share anything with us, go to our chat or call in. The call-in number is 513-815-6336. Again, that's 513-815-6336. Do you have a camping tip that you would like to share? Well, I want to hear. Stick around. I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. We will be right back. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared.
In this digital society, making connections is quickly becoming a lost art form. Yet, if you are a small business owner, building your network is the only way you can get ahead. Can these skills be learned? You bet they can. Read Nose to Nose Networking. No-nonsense, in-person networking tips from a master. Who's the master? Well, who better to teach networking and friend-building skills than a golden retriever? The author, Melanie Hope, takes the antics of Abigail and translates them into the human experience. Through Abby, you will learn how to set your intention, build a network, and get into and out of conversations with grace. If you love the Dog Abby segments on Counterculture-Wise Radio, you will love Nose to Nose Networking even more. Find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hard copy, Kindle, and Nook. Visit counterculturewise.com for direct links.
Greetings and salutations, Counterculture-Wise listeners. This is Maximilian von Riegelbieser inviting you and yours to listen to me and mine. Join me, my sisters Abby and Fritzy, and my weekly guests, my father Jim and Mumsy Melanie, for Counterculture-Wise.
Max, it's not your show.
And we're not your guests, Max. We're the hosts. You may want to rein it in a little bit, buddy.
Very well. Tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific at counterculturewise.com for our amazing live variety show. You can even chat with us. If you ask me, though, it should be called Counterculture Max.
Counterculture Wise. Radio with heart in mind.
Got a spare tire around that waist? Is your muffin top over the top? Do you binge eat uncontrollably? We are the government and we are here to help you. Here at our free FEMA weight loss camp, we have numerous ways to help you shed those unsightly, unwanted pounds. FEMA, or Fatties Eating Mitigated, automatically has a communist-style weight loss czar that specializes in centralized weight loss planning and communal extended fasting programs to shed that fat away in no time. Skin and boned means extra tone is the motto. Just remember, there is no way you can do it on your own. We will forcefully assist you into compliance. Failure is not an option in this utopian wonderland. How fantastic. Typical workout regimes include digging ditches and restocking them with dirt, building railways and more. Get life skills while you get lean. How do you join? Simple. Recite the Constitution in a public commons or violate the Patriot Act that includes simple misdemeanors. It's really that easy to get your own fenced-in slice of Americana. Stop being a fatty. The state is your daddy.
If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. Yep, and welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Are You Ready Radio here with me. I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. 513-815-6336 is the way to join us. 513-815-6336 if you want to call in. Do you have a camping tip you want to share with us? Or maybe a funny story? What kind of adventures have you had camping? Chime in on our chat room, too, if you don't want to call. Like to hear what you have to say about that. And, okay, so when you decide you're going to go camping, first thing first, decide what kind of camping you're going to be doing. Now, camping comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. You can start, maybe planning your first adventure. Think about what kind of amenities you want to choose, or you want when choosing a camping style, and base it on that. So a few different types, most popular types of camping anyway, are like tent camping, kind of like the example that I used in our story, in my story when we first started the show. Tent camping is typically at a campground. You can do like state or national park. Most tent campgrounds have restrooms with running water, and you can drive up to your campsite. Other tent camping is kind of like where you kind of hike in a little bit. And state and national parks are just one option. There's a lot of different campgrounds, sometimes privately owned. Sometimes, though, you get a lot of RV traffic in a lot of those big lot. So if you're going camping, specifically seek out a campsite that has tent facilities so you're not boxed in by a lot of RVs. Car camping. Car camping can have a few meanings. Generally, it refers to any type of camping when you can pull your car up to your campsite. Sometimes this means camping in a tent at a campground, like tent camping. Sometimes it means blowing up an air mattress and camping in the back of your car, or in the bed of a pickup truck, or in a van, or something like that. That's typically what is referred to as car camping, where you're actually sleeping in your car. There's also RV and trailer camping, or RV and camper camping. A kind of small little converted van, all the way up to like a full RV, or even just like a teardrop trailer camper behind your car or truck, where everything's pretty much inside of that, and you're going to live in that camping, so you don't have to set up a tent. Now, primitive camping, it's pretty much done you could do it at a campground. It's got very few facilities. They're designated spots to set up tents. And a primitive campground is not likely to have any restrooms nearby or even running water. And there's no electricity at all. Some camp tent sites in some of the larger state parks and stuff do have electric hookups and at most of their sites. And then there's dispersed camping, I guess, if you want to refer to it. Free camping, boondocking is another name for it. This is where you find your own free site on public lands and camp for free. Not all parks allow that, but it's allowed in some areas, and I believe it's some national forests. There may be some land for that. And then there's backcountry camping. Backcountry camping is pretty much you backpack you hike in to where you're going to camp, and you're going to carry all your camping equipment in a backpack. You hike to your destination. It's pretty much almost one of the most remote types of camping. And it really does provide probably one of the best escapes from the crowds that campgrounds may offer, where you just hike in through the woods and you set up a camp and that's it. For beginners, I would highly recommend tent camping to start. It's very low cost. There's no hiking involved. You're not, spending money on an RV or a camper. You go to a tent campsite, and most of the state and national parks, you'll have some way to hook up some power. You'll have some facilities like restrooms. So it's very basic. It's low cost. It's easy to plan. And at least you may find some of the basic amenities at most parks that you decide to camp at. So once you know what kind of camping you want to do, think of where and when you want to go. The first time, you're going to want to choose someplace close to home, because there's always a chance that you may forget something. Maybe you'll experience some trouble, maybe some bad weather, or even just decide that, hey, listen, you're done with this. You're going home early. This is your first trip. You don't know if you're going to like this or not. Now, I urge you, if you decide to go camping, give it a chance. Just because one thing goes wrong, don't just say, that's it, packing up, we're going home. Try to ride it out. See what kind of challenges you face. And see how, based on your skills, what skills maybe you need to learn or brush up on. And see how you deal with those different challenges that camping can throw at you. But choose a campsite not too far away from your home. It does allow you to make a quick return, get back home, or, even if you have to pick something up that you forgot. For example, in the story, the can opener. They had no way to eat the beans. Maybe they could have just came back home and got another pack of hot dogs. So think about some of that when you're first deciding what kind of camp out you want to go on. So we're going to take a quick time out. Time to kind of regroup at the right time slot now. And, more when we come back about camping to make sure that your trip is exciting, fun, and avoid most disasters that could possibly happen out in your adventures. And speaking of disasters, we'll be back after this lineup of disasters in just a moment. Stick around. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared. If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. You're listening to Are You Ready? Prepping and Survival program. If you would like to share with us, chat, or call in, the call-in number is 513-815-6336. Again, that's 513-815-6336. This week is all about getting ready to go camping. If you've never done it before, this is the episode you want to listen to, even if you're an experienced camper. We've got a lot that we're covering. We also have coming up some of our prepping for pets, our prepping kitchen, and our prepping financial segment, and of course our prepping mistake of the week. Yeah. Which most of the first story at the beginning of the episode was kind of like the biggest mistake. The whole thing was a big mistake. If you go back, listen to that story in the archives, you'll see what that was all about. Now, we've covered the type of camping, where to go, and all that, but the next thing you really want to look at when getting ready for your camping trip, and this is something you do ahead of time as well, is all part of the planning phase. Know the reservation process, if any. If you decide, that there's a particular park you want to go to, make sure that you check out the reservation process. Some camps have one, some camps don't. So if you're new, look for a park that's, like I said, close to your home. Look for the amenities that they have to make your stay easier. Things like a general store, like a camp store that may sell snacks, some basic food, firewood, bait, ice, even ice cream. See if they have bathrooms, showers, running water, electric hookups. And another thing that you could do is visit the park that you want to camp at and be familiar with the sites before you decide to book one. Is it a place that you want to spend the time at to relax? Is there enough room for the amount of people that are camping? How close is it to the amenities that are important to you? You're not going to find a spot that's close to everything. So decide what you want to be close to, and that may be your spot. Is it pet friendly? So if you have a pet and you're bringing one, do they allow pets? You should also know what the weather is going to be. So I know it's hard to say, we're planning our camp 6 months out. We don't know what the weather's going to be. Yeah, you kind of hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. But once you know where and when, you want to book that campsite. Some places offer online reservations. Some you have to do via phone or in person. Some campgrounds are first come, first serve plans, so you have to get there early in order, to get a good spot, the ideal spot that maybe you want, and have a backup site that you want. So take time to visit the campground beforehand so you know what you're getting and what activities they even have there. Some campsites may be located near activities that are not part of the park or part of the campground. So, think of that. Don't just look at what's in the park. Look at things that are around it. Sometimes you'll see, places that have, some campsites may have an amusement park nearby. Maybe they have, horseback riding. There's a number of things that could exist around the parks that may not be in the park itself that you're camping at. Now, pick the best campsite in the campground. So most campsites also provide maps online, or you can get one in person when you go to visit them. And use your map to pick a campsite. I always prefer kind of far enough away from the bathrooms, particularly if you're a light sleeper. You're more likely to, be kept up at night from the noise of others using the restrooms. Some people take showers late. Sometimes you may be close to like an exit or an entrance. So there's always a lot of car traffic. So a lot of people may need to use the restrooms besides yourself throughout the night. And especially if it's really crowded, maybe you don't want to be too close to them. You also want to make sure that you pick a larger campsite, or at least one that can accommodate, if you can take your vehicles up to them, more than one vehicle, especially if you're traveling in a group. Pick a larger than what you may need campsite, because it gives you a little extra room. You're not right on top of the next person. It's pitched next door to you. It's you're not right on top of each other. And especially if you're tent camping, pick a campsite in the tent-only section if they have one. This may not be an option at every campground, but some have designated tent-only areas away from RVs, and that also helps, you get a better view. You're not boxed in by a bunch of RVs and campers. You don't have a lot of the noise of them hooking up and dropping off, unhooking, setting up. Sometimes their motors running generators, all kinds of noise that come along with RVs. So if they have a designated tent-only spot, you may want to book it there, especially if you're tent camping. As a bonus, though, look for campsites with a great view or that add privacy. So, you may find a campsite that overlooks the lake or the river or, has a nice wooded area in the back. Some sites, may have a lot of space between them and trees or something that kind of separate the sites, which adds to your privacy. When it comes time to book, if you wait too late, you may not have much of a choice on your campsite if it's a popular campground. So you definitely want to book way in advance. And I know that trying to plan around weather when you're that far in advance is rough. But if you're familiar with the kind of seasons that the area goes through, especially if it's your first camp out, and you know what the weather is, if you're just going, we'll say, within an hour of your home, then, it may be easier to predict the weather. You kind of know that, well, in June, this is always the weather around this time. Obviously, you go in the summer if you're in a area where it's always summer in July and August, and those are the hottest months of your year. That it's going to be summer. It's going to be warm. You really can't predict all the rain, wind, and everything else that come along with it. So make sure that you just have your gear that you need for bad weather. Get familiar with what's around the campground or park that you'll be camping at. Like I said, amusement parks, horseback riding, boat rentals, and all that are great. And see whatever the area has to offer. But it's very important to know where the closest emergency room is. How about the closest food store, even a gas station? The closest restaurant. Maybe you don't want to cook on the fire every night, and it's, hey, we're going to go out to eat one night. You may find a lot of nice restaurants around certain state parks or even national parks and a lot of different areas that you can camp in. And other activities outside of camp all around. Now, of course, a lot of your preppers, survivalists, you like to hear about gear. Gear. We'll get to gear here. And I do want to, why don't we do this? Before we talk about gear, why don't I throw out one of our prepping tips? And how about our pet segment if you're planning on traveling with your pets to go camping? Here we go. Oh, and of course, thank you to my wonderful producer, Magic the Prepper Cat, for that wonderful music here. Thanks. It's great. Okay, so if you are bringing your pets camping with you, that's something you want to plan ahead for as well. Make sure that they're up to date on all their shots, vaccines, any kind of medical treatment or whatever they take. Take them to the vet. Make sure they're healthy, and bring along, or make sure that they've had their dose of flea and tick guard. I definitely want to make sure that you get them fitted with that, and check flea collars, stuff like that, and bring along whatever medicine they need. Of course, just like you'd pack for yourself, you want to pack for your pet. Now, also bring along plenty of extra bottled water and extra food. Make sure that you provide a place for them that's shady. And if you have an electrical hookup, or maybe you can hook it up to your car, either through your power adapter, lighter adapter, whatever, in your car, a fan. So if you're camping in really hot weather, sometimes just having like a box fan or something just to kind of create a breeze where they're kind of shaded, or some place for them to relax and get some moving air to help cool them off. Remember, they're going to be sitting there in the sun with you, and if you're hot, you can take off a few layers. Your fur babies are wearing fur coats, so make sure that you think ahead on that one. If they're going to be sharing a tent with you, make sure that their claws are trimmed. You don't want to end up on a flat air mattress the next morning, first night they snuggle with you. And also try to protect the floor of your tent if you're tent camping, because they could really do damage, even if they do have their claws trimmed, to the floor of your tent, just from poking at it, and they could poke through it. So that's going to really deteriorate that moisture barrier between you and the ground if you have a bunch of little holes in your tent floor. I'd recommend sometimes maybe like a couple layers of blankets, towels, or even, depending on your tent, I know that I was thinking about using this idea with cots in my tent, those foam mats that snap together. You can buy a stack of those dirt cheap, and it makes a nice floor in the tent. So keep that in mind when camping with your pets. Now, where were we? Yes, that is right. Gear. Yes, gear, preppers. We love gear. We love talking about gear. We love buying gear. We love using gear. We love packing gear. We bring so much gear with us wherever we go. We love gear. But before buying a bunch of gear, think about it. Before you buy a bunch of gear you think you need, first ask, do you plan to share a tent with anyone? This includes pets. Do you plan on growing your camping skills and eventually getting into other types of camping like backpacking? And also think about, what is your budget? What is your budget for the camping gear? A lot of times people go way overboard. They don't really have a fixed budget. So they go into a camping store with just no set of, limit, and they just buy stuff that they think they need. They buy things that people say they need. And they may not really need all that, or it's just way over the top, too much for what they're doing. So if you're new to camping and don't know if you're even going to like it, try not to buy the gear that you need. Wait a minute, I thought we were just talking about we need to get stuff to go camping. What about the tent, the sleeping bags, and all that? Well, if you can avoid buying gear, do it. If you really have to, then of course you are going to need certain things when you go camping. So ask your friends and family that go camping if you can borrow a tent, sleeping bags, ground mats, lanterns, cookware, and all that. Because the first time you go camping, it's all about getting a feel for the great outdoors and experiencing the freedom it brings. You can also get many secondhand items in great condition at flea markets, online, thrift stores. I mean, you name it. There's a lot of places that you can go to that you don't have to buy it all brand new right up front. So what gear do you need? Well, if you're tent camping, of course, you're going to need the tent. That will be one of the most important items when you're tent camping. Most folks, including beginners, will want to get a 3-person tent. If maybe you're just 2 of you, you always want to think about maybe 1 or 2 people up from how many you're really going to put in a tent. So size up. Choose a tent larger than what you need. So if you're 2 people sleeping, get a 3 to 4-person tent. This way you have plenty of room for your gear to be comfortable in there. You're not crammed in there. Plenty of room to kind of maneuver around each other. And for beginners, I would probably think of maybe a 3-season tent. You may not be doing any like really harsh winter weather camping. So a 3-season tent that's good for spring, summer, and fall. That would probably be where you start. So think about the 3-season tent and then the size. There you go. If you're backpacking, you want it small enough to tie onto a backpack. But again, for starters, we're going to assume that you're driving up to your campsite and setting up your tent. So we're not going on like miles into the woods backpacking over the, or through the, mountains of, the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachian Trail and, the Smokies and, or through the Amazon. We're just going to go with you're pulling up to your campsite. So look for a tent that's pretty easy to set up too. So first the season, the size, and then the ease of setting it up. Of course, budget will play a lot in that because, you can get a 3 to 4 person tent with a lot of poles and lines and stuff required to set it up for relatively cheap. But then you get into a 3 to 4 person tent that's a very easy pop-up setup where you just pretty much just unpack it, pull a string, and it's up in the air. Those could run a little more money. Look at what type of weather terrain you're going to be setting it up on as well. And, get something that's going to be pretty resilient to the elements that you're going to be in. But again, look at your budget. Always get one size up. Next, the second most important piece of gear when it comes to camping is going to be your sleeping bag. Well, actually, I don't know about the sleep bag. Maybe this air mat. Why don't we try this sleep? I'm going to go with air mat on top of that, or some type of ground pad, some sort of sleeping mat to sleep on. Air mattresses are great, and I recommend you get a pump for them that is chargeable, like you can recharge it. A rechargeable air pump. It can charge via USB. That's another important part. And it also has a USB port to charge other devices. So when I'm shopping for air pumps, I've found that the ones that you need, like batteries to constantly change, like it runs off 4D batteries, or it only runs off electric, are okay. But I mean, you're going to spend a lot of money on batteries, and you may not have an outlet convenient to where you want to inflate your mattress, your air mattress. And if you have a smaller tent where the opening may not fit an inflated air mattress in there, you're going to have to bring the pump over to the tent if you're going the air mattress route. You can get foam ground pads that unroll, other types of sleeping mats. Some folks are fine just sleeping on their yoga mat. That's fine for them. Depending on what your needs for sleep are, though. There's some folks that have like back problems. There's some folks that, can't sleep real low on the ground. So maybe a tent with high enough walls that you can put a cot in may be best for you. So all that's a little bit to consider, especially when looking at the tent. And if you do need to put a type of cot, a camping cot or mattress or something in there, make sure it's big enough. You don't want anything really touching the side of the walls of the tent, so make sure that your air mattress fits in there. And then I guess you could say get a good sleeping bag. You can probably get away without a sleeping bag your first few nights out if it's really nice. You just bring them some blankets, some extra blankets. But if you do want to invest in the sleeping bag, that would be number 3 for the most important piece of gear that you should buy. So the sleeping bag, as far as sleeping bags, you should make sure it's rated down to about 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's pretty much fine for all levels of experience camping when it comes to the spring, summer, fall weather. Especially when it gets into the cooler nights in the spring and the fall. Down to 30 degrees, you should be fine. Of course, there's different tips that I'll get into when it comes to the whole tent and sleeping thing. But that music you hear, and I hear too, I'm not going crazy, I hope you hear it, that means that we are rounding the first hour, and we do have a commercial break we need to take. So stick around. Are You Ready Radio? I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. I'll be right back. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared.
In this digital society, making connections is quickly becoming a lost art form. Yet, if you are a small business owner, building your network is the only way you can get ahead. Can these skills be learned? You bet they can. Read Nose to Nose Networking. No-nonsense, in-person networking tips from a master. Who's the master? Well, who better to teach networking and friend-building skills than a golden retriever? The author, Melanie Hope, takes the antics of Abigail and translates them into the human experience. Through Abby, you will learn how to set your intention, build a network, and get into and out of conversations with grace. If you love the Dog Abby segments on Counterculture-Wise Radio, you will love Nose to Nose Networking even more. Find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hard copy, Kindle, and Nook. Visit counterculturewise.com for direct links.
Hey, how you doing? This is Magic Pierce inviting you and yours to listen to some good friends of mine that have a show too. Did you really think my daddy is the only one that just runs his mouth all the time and that's the only thing I listen to? No, it's not. I got a show I listen to on Sundays. Join host Max and his co-host, my hottie Fritzy, and of course my good friend Abby on Counterculture-Wise, Sundays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. They have their own human guests, Melanie and Jim, each week. They don't meow a lot, but you get what they're saying. Now let me tell you, you have to go to counterculturewise.com. Use your paws to play with the mouse and scroll down to the on-the-air button on the right to hear their show. Just click on that. After that, watch them on Periscope like I do. Daddy gives me a little mouse to play with, and I get farts the whole time. It's a great show. Check it out. Counterculturewise.com. If you don't tune in, I get cuckoos on you.
Thank you so much for that ringing endorsement, Magic. It warms the orange hearts of me and Abby and the gray heart of Fritzy to hear you say such amazing things about our show. I'm pretty sure that Mumsy and Father have pink hearts, so we will assume their hearts are warmed too.
Forget about it. I got you guys. Good peoples.
Got a spare tire around that waist? Is your muffin top over the top? Do you binge eat uncontrollably? We are the government and we are here to help you. Here at our free FEMA weight loss camp, we have numerous ways to help you shed those unsightly, unwanted pounds. FEMA, or Fatties Eating Mitigated, automatically has a communist-style weight loss czar that specializes in centralized weight loss planning and communal extended fasting programs to shed that fat away in no time. Skin and boned means extra toned is the motto. Just remember, there is no way you can do it on your own. We will forcefully assist you into compliance. Failure is not an option in this utopian wonderland. How fantastic. Typical workout regimes include digging ditches and restocking them with dirt, building railways and more. Get life skills while you get lean. How do you join? Simple. Recite the Constitution in a public commons or violate the Patriot Act that includes simple misdemeanors. It's really that easy to get your own fenced-in slice of Americana. Stop being a fatty. The state is your daddy.
If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. And here we are You Ready Radio here. I'm your host, Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. Another wonderful Wednesday evening. We are live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. The call-in number is 513-815-6336 if you want to be a part of the show. And, of course, our chat room is open. You can chat with us there. Also, our social media. Check us out. This way you can interact with other members of the prepping community before, during, and after the broadcast. Let's see. So we're talking about the gear. Some gear that you'll need when you are ready to go camping. And cookware. You'll also need things like cookware, flashlights, utensils, ways to make a fire, cook. If you've not cooked on a fire before, just get a camp stove. It's going to be a big help. It's a big lifesaver, especially if you're not familiar with building cooking fires or really doing much over an open fire. But if you do decide, the most important thing to know about just cooking over a fire is just kind of try to get the heat as even as possible. And you're mostly cooking on coals, not necessarily in the flame itself. Now, when it comes to cookware, well, first, let's not spend a lot of money on tableware and dishes. This is your first camping trip, if this is. Maybe it's only your second. But go with paper or plastic your first time or two out. If you're using a camp stove, your cookware at home, you should be able to use most of the same cookware on that camp stove. Instead of a gas burner or electric burner that you have at home, you're most likely going to be cooking over a gas burner, and it's just propane. So most of your cookware that you have at home can be used on the camp stove. And you can also just get things like a cast iron skillet, and my big thing that I love to use on a double burner camp stove is you can get one of those cast iron flat tops. Put it right on both burners, and you cook your food right on it, or you can put it in foil. So it's almost like using your grill in the backyard, but yet you're doing it over a propane gas camp stove with an iron flat top on it. The iron flat top can also be used over the fire. So if you have a way to prop it up on your fire, that is a great option as well. So, but just think of it just as if you're grilling right at home. If you're only going 1 or 2 nights, you may be able to heat up some really easy food on a fire or like even on a stick. So you can also cook in foil. That's another great option, cooking in aluminum foil. Things like as simple as just chopped potatoes, packets with like chicken, fish, hot dogs you can make right on a stick. There's quite a bit you can do if you decide to choose the fire, but again, this is your first time out. Having the luxury of that camp stove and a flat top and just a pot may be all you need, depending on your menu. Another part of planning for your camp out, I can't say this goes with gear, but it is part of the planning, and some of the gear that you should have is a copy of the rules and regulations for the campground. Check your park before you go. See what you can and cannot do. Okay? You may also be able to keep that with a copy of the map, so that this way you're not, if maybe you're only able to set fires at certain times of the year. Maybe you have to get a camp stove. Maybe you can only set fires in designated areas. So definitely something you want to check out before you go, so it kind of helps you plan and you kind of know what you need to get before you get there. So let's look at some of the other stuff that you need. Don't overpack.
when it comes to all the stuff that you could possibly get, bottom line is just don't overpack. But start with packing only what you need at first. And make a list and check it off. So this way, once you're at the camp, you may not be able to replace something that you forgot. Like in the story that I told in the beginning of the episode. Over the can of beans. There's no can opener. You also don't have the luxury of just going in the garage, going in the kitchen, going in the basement, going in the bedroom to get something that you may need. There's no junk drawer sitting at camp with the flashlight or matches from the kitchen. So make sure that you kind of have everything kind of set up. Speaking of kitchen, how about our prepping kitchen tip of the week? Burp, 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 burpy, burp, 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 burpy, burp, 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 burpy, burp, 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 burpy. All right, our prepper kitchen tip of the week: food prep and sanitation. Yeah, at camp, that's always a rough one. That's always kind of hard, especially tent camping, when you may not have running water at your site. Well, food prep and sanitation are very important, not just at home, but when you're camping too. It's more important to be very vigilant while camping, though, since one wrong move could actually lead to cross-contamination and ruin an entire vacation for maybe one or many members of your camp. So, a few most important, effective ways to keep up with the challenge is think of meals that are easy to make with a low risk of illness. Okay? If you're new, think of foods like pre-cooked heat-and-eat items. Hot dogs, they're already pre-cooked. You just need to heat them. Some sausage come that way. Bacon comes that way. Some forms of bacon, you can get the pre-cooked and you just heat it up. Canned items like stew, canned meat and vegetables are also a great, easy option. Avoid things like poultry, like chicken. Chicken is a bad idea if you're not experienced. Even at home, you got to be very careful. Also, refrigeration may be very primitive. So you're going to be keeping a lot of things on ice or in coolers. So keep uncooked meats in a separate cooler away from drinks and ready-to-eat foods. Never mix them together. Have 2 separate coolers. Stay away from chicken. I was trying to think. There was one other. I said forget about it. But, if you're camping in a tent, it's a good idea to set up a hand wash station next to your cooking area so that you don't have to walk all the way to the facilities. You don't have to walk all the way to the bathrooms. Sometimes they may be a little bit of ways. So having something right there at camp to help wash your hands off and, some hand soap is always a good idea. Hand sanitizer is handy to have around, but try not to use it in place of soap and water. It doesn't really clean the hands off. Yes, they will be sanitized for the most part, but they're not clean. There's many other. If you have one that you'd like to share with us, chat or call in. Again, the call-in number is 513-815-6336, 513-815-6336. So far, the items that I mentioned are the things you want to spend most of your budget on in a way. But in addition to the items I already mentioned, those I call the most important gear so far, you're going to need to buy, or maybe you have some already, but you are going to need some more stuff. Yes, stuff. Now, comfort items. Most campsites may have a picnic table to eat at or prep food on and all that, but maybe you're going to want to bring your own table and some camping chairs. Chairs make it a lot easier to sit around the fire. You're not sitting on the ground, or you may not be able to move the picnic table close enough to the fire. To help set the tent, a hatchet with mallets, some spare tent pegs, because sometimes those will get lost, especially if you have to move your tent around. Sometimes you drop them in the grass or in the dirt somewhere and you lose them. Some spare tent pegs are great, or stakes, whatever you want to call them. And, of course, a hatchet. I always prefer the hatchet with the mallet on one side or flat end along with the blade. This way you have something to kind of hit the, hammer the spikes, stakes, pegs, whatever you want to call them, into the ground. Spare batteries and a portable charger and cables are very handy too. You may have the flashlight, but a headlamp is very handy. So some of this is kind of like, you need a flashlight, but one better, you should also have maybe a headlamp. This way it's hands-free, especially if you're working in the dark. You can also bring like a tent repair kit, which is simple. Just you can make it yourself. It's just like power cord or any kind of line, small rope, as long as it's strong enough. Power cord's great. Power cord 550, it's good for 550 pounds. So, and it's very versatile. Duck or gaff tape is great. Cable ties, maybe some sort of sewing kit. You can go a step further and get like seam tape, patch tape. They make duct tape is a good temporary fix just for a little bit. Gaff tape isn't bad either. But if you really want it to ride out some weather and be fairly watertight, whatever you're patching up on your tent, you can buy things like sail tape. It's used for patching up sails. A quick fix you can use on board. You can also use it on your tent. An extra tarp or two is always handy, and just another comfort item, a pillow. Yeah, I remember some nights when I would camp, if it's just a down and dirty camp out, I'd roll my sweatshirt up or something and put it under my head. But, pillow is kind of a nice comfy item when camping. You'd be amazed what a nice morale builder, booster that is. Now, as far as things to stay warm, and, you want to stay dry as well, you're going to pack your clothing depending on the season. So I recommend like lightweight and fast dry materials. Again, some of this stuff you already may have. And again, if you're just starting off and this is just your first camp out, don't go out and buy a special wardrobe just for camping. Stay with what you have. Casual wear, something you don't mind getting dirty, sometimes really dirty, depending on what activities you're doing. But, pack based on your activities. So in other words, if you're going to be on a lake and they have a beach and a swimming area, bring a swimsuit and a towel, an extra towel for that. But pack your clothing item depending on the season. Some type of jacket or poncho that's waterproof. This way, if it is raining and you have to be out in the rain and you can't get out of it, a poncho will help keep you dry, because when you're wet, you get cold. When you get cold, you could get sick. And I don't mean you're going to catch a cold because you're cold. And you just want to be comfortable. And, of course, stay healthy. Of course, you want to change a clean, dry clothes to sleep in. Typically, I'll sleep in my boxers or a pair of shorts, especially in the summer. Even in the winter, I will. But also having some type of warm hat, gloves, is great, especially in the colder months where it's going to get a little chilly at night. It can get pretty cold depending on the area of the country that you're in and the time of year, even though it may have been 70 or 80 degrees during the day. And, of course, maybe some type of sun hat or like a hat with a rim on it. Keeps the sun out of your eyes when you're on the water or just hanging out around camp, so you don't have a week's worth if you're out for a long time. The raccoon tan or the sunglasses that you're always wearing during the day. Of course, spare underwear, sunblock. Some type of sunblock with UV protection on it is a must, especially in the warmer months or even in the winter. If you're camping outside, you're going to be outside a lot because in the summer especially, your tent is going to be really hot during the day, so you're not going to want to sit in your tent all day. And as far as being out for days and days, even if it's just for a short amount of time, you're going to be outside a lot. That's the point of camping. So having some sunblock will definitely protect you. And, of course, a pair of sunglasses just make life easy. Now, as far as kitchen essentials, we've already touched on those. We're talking about a stove or some type of barbecue. The fuel for it, you're going to want lighter and matches, some way to light it. Your cooler, we discussed that with our kitchen tip. Having separate coolers for uncooked meats and a separate cooler for ready-to-eat food, and maybe even a third of just the beverages if you don't want to put it with the ready-to-eat food. Your cookware, we talked about that, but also a cutting board and the cooking utensils. There's a lot of things kind of, especially in these kitchen essential lists, that people overlook because they're so used to just having it in a drawer next to them at home and or in the cabinet or something. So, make sure you bring a cutting board if you're going to need one for the food that you're making. Cooking utensils like spoon, forks, and stuff that's long, slotted spoon, spatula. Of course, dish towels. And I keep a separate set of dish towels separate in the kitchen equipment that I pack when I go. Mine kind of broke down to the bin system, which I'll get into here if we have time after the first break, or after the last break. But separate dish towels just for the dishes. And, of course, dish and hand soap, which we talked about the hand soap part, setting up a hand wash station earlier on in the segment. But you're also going to need trash bags. A lot of times you think that, I'll just put all the garbage that we accumulate in this box. We're going to empty that box of soda into the cooler, or that 24-pack makes a great garbage. You're going to want the bags to put your garbage in, because you're going to fill those boxes up really quick. And the garbage bags are also, you get a full-size garbage bag, particularly heavy-duty. They're also great to keep stuff dry, waterproof stuff, cover your packs in them, and even laundry. And feel free to use those plastic grocery bags, too. So as you're going through your items, your food and stuff that you bring, save those bags. Another item that you want to keep in your kitchen essentials, remember that can of beans? A can opener. Don't forget your can opener, and of course a bottle opener. Okay, well now, how about staying clean and healthy? Any toiletries that you would usually use, like soap, shampoo, conditioner, toothbrush, and toothpaste, you will also need to bring with you. Of course, you also want to pack any of your medications that you take. Hand sanitizer, if you have your own little personal bottle, that's great, aside from whatever you have set up where you would normally do your dishes or someplace at camp to keep on you. Or even like antibacterial wipes, you can get some of those. Insect repellent. Yes, keep the bugs away. You're going to be miserable if you're prone to mosquitoes and all that. And especially if you just put it on just to keep ticks off of you. Towels and a washcloth and even toilet paper. So, yeah, bring the good stuff. Bring the good toilet paper. If they have bathrooms or they have latrines and all that, toilet paper may not be that great at all. Having that nice fluffy stuff that you like to wipe all over your hygiene, it really makes camping more pleasant. Just little comforts like that. So what I do is I have a separate bag that I take with me to the shower. It's a little tactical backpack. And I also have like a little attachment for it. It's called a conversion pack or conversion sack, conversion pouch, they're calling them. It could be worn over your shoulder. It could be attached to a bag if you have molly straps. It could be worn around your waist. It could be hung on the back of the stall, strapped to a, part of the bench, depending on your bathrooms and your campgrounds that you have. I put all my toiletries in there and a nice fluffy roll of toilet paper. And that's what I bring back and forth to the bathroom. It also has a little flashlight so that if the lights are out in the bathrooms, I have a way to see. Because there's nothing worse than trying to play around with your cell phone using the flashlight on that when you need it and, fall someplace where you never want to reach into to get it back out. So, having a small little flashlight, maybe not your primary flashlight, but that's part of that bathroom shower kit as well. The light that I have, it clips onto the straps. It has a little, on my pack, it has a little lanyard that I can hang it on a hook. I can set it up, clip it onto something. It's a nice little mini tactical light with a side lantern on it. Wouldn't necessarily be my primary flashlight, but definitely one that I would take back and forth to the showers with me. So we've pretty much gone through most of the items that you would really need for camping. Now you think about it. Wow, this is not that bad at all. You may have most of the stuff except for a tent, a sleeping pad, and maybe an air mattress and pump, and a sleep bag, and and all that laying around already. So, really, own a tarp. Maybe you have a hatchet, but just bring a hammer. You're not really going to be out there Paul Bunyan splitting wood and all that. You can buy the bundles of logs. Remember, you're just getting started. You're trying to see if you like this or not. This is not about labor. This is about relaxing. So a lot of what you need to go camping, you may already have. But like I said, with few exceptions. The tent, if you don't have a tent already, maybe you don't have sleeping bags, maybe you don't have something to sleep on the ground on that's comfy and soft, or you don't have an air mattress. Those would be your main investments. Aside from the food you're going to bring, maybe if you have a cooler, get 2 coolers. This way you have one for drinks, one for your food. It's another little purchase you have to make. Your cookware is going to work. You have all your kitchen utensils probably already at home. Just bring a version of those, scaled back version. Pretty much what you need just to cook the meals that you're going to make. And of course, a first aid kit. So you have all the gear that you need. You have it all now. You have everything that you could possibly need, and you're ready to go camping. But this brings me to my prepping mistake of the week. That's right. Yep, the big mistake, one of the biggest mistakes you could definitely make when going camping when you buy that tent. You remember the story with the dad and little Timmy? They stopped to get the tent on the way up to the campground, and they get there, and we're going through the directions. It was starting to get dark, and it's in every language. They can't find English again. It's windy. The sun's going down. It's getting dark, and you're trying to pitch your tent for the first time. Well, practice setting up your tent. Make sure that the air mattress and pump work. Do a test run before you go. Make sure all the parts are there. Just because it's a brand new tent doesn't mean it has all the parts in the box or the bag. So, of course, even if you just buy the air mattress and a pump for it, is it even charged? So, you do have to make sure, and you want to definitely make sure, that you have practiced setting up your tent. And if you do it once and it works out great, you know how to do it, perfect. Take pictures, of everything. This way you know what it's supposed to look like when it's done. Don't just rely on that picture on the outside. If there's something that you question, if there's something that was a little confusing to you and you figured it out and you now know how to do it, well, take a picture of it so you have reference when you get to your campground. Just pull it up on your phone or print it out, put it in your little binder, notepad, whatever you're taking camping with you in your bag. Put the pictures, print them out, put them in a little plastic baggie to keep them dry, and put them in the tent bag itself. Remember, if you're just doing this for the first time, you're not going to know everything. You're not going to be that familiar with every different type of tent, and pitching, a tent for the first time can be a little confusing if you've never done it before. So practice in your backyard. If you don't have a backyard, practice in your living room. Clear some space out of the way and set it up. See if you're able to do it, if it's easy for you to do, how long it takes. And the other thing I would recommend is sometimes you buy the tents and the flaps are not zippered shut. Here's a little tip. Zipper those flaps and then pack it back up. When you go to stake it into the ground and you go to set it up and the poles and all that, if your flaps and doors and windows are not zippered closed, what will happen is you're going to put too much tension on them. It's not going to zipper or close right. You're going to put more stress on the seams and the lines and everything when you set it up. Now, when you set up your tent for the first time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So make sure that your doors, zippers, windows and all that, keep them zippered up. And you'll have a pretty solid tent that's not going to give you any problems with the zippers. And take good care of it, too. It'll last a long time. Practice setting up your stuff before you go. Charge the pump for the air mattress. Make sure that any backup chargers that you are bringing with you are fully charged. Those are all things to do well in advance, as well as planning your menu. If you have other tips, other tricks, any mistakes that maybe you have made, chime in our chat room or call in 513-815-6338.
Again, that's 513-815-6338. I want to hear them. We have a quick timeout we're going to take coming down to the bottom of the hour. And stick around. We will be right back. I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. You are listening to Are You Ready? Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also visit our home on the web. Just go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the program's link. If you missed the live show, you can listen to the show's archives on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Deezer, and many more, including our home on Spreaker. When a disaster happens, are you ready? Do you have the supplies you need to keep you and your family safe and survive? The Zombie Outpost store in Wilmington, Ohio, at Cedar Creek Flea Market stocks quality gear you need to be ready for the next emergency or even a camping trip. Visit zombieoutpoststore.com for location and hours. Check out our assortment of essentials you need when the next disaster happens. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. Get 10% off at checkout when you mention Are You Ready Radio. Be ready and be prepared.
In this digital society, making connections is quickly becoming a lost art form. Yet, if you are a small business owner, building your network is the only way you can get ahead. Can these skills be learned? You bet they can. Read Nose to Nose Networking. No nonsense, in-person networking tips from a master. Who's the master? Well, who better to teach networking and friend-building skills than a golden retriever? The author, Melanie Hope, takes the antics of Abigail and translates them into the human experience. Through Abby, you will learn how to set your intention, build a network, and get into and out of conversations with grace. If you love the Dog Abby segments on Counterculture-Wise Radio, you will love Nose to Nose Networking even more. Find it on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hard copy, Kindle, and Nook. Visit counterculturewise.com for direct links.
Greetings and salutations, Counterculture-Wise listeners. This is Maximilian von Riegelbieser inviting you and yours to listen to me and mine. Join me, my sisters Abby and Fritzy, and my weekly guests, my father Jim and Mumsy Melanie, for Counterculture-Wise.
Max, it's not your show!
And we're not your guests, Max. We're the hosts. You may want to rein it in a little bit, buddy.
Very well. Tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific at counterculturewise.com for our amazing live variety show. You can even chat with us. If you ask me, though, it should be called Counterculture Max.
Counterculture Wise! Radio with heart in mind.
Got a spare tire around that waist? Is your muffin top over the top? Do you binge eat uncontrollably? We are the government and we are here to help you. Here at our free FEMA weight loss camp, we have numerous ways to help you shed those unsightly, unwanted pounds. FEMA, or Fatties Eating Mitigated, automatically has a communist-style weight loss czar that specializes in centralized weight loss planning and communal extended fasting programs to shed that fat away in no time. Skin and boned means extra tone is the motto. Just remember, there is no way you can do it on your own. We will forcefully assist you into compliance. Failure is not an option in this utopian wonderland. How fantastic. Typical workout regimes include digging ditches and restocking them with dirt, building railways and more. Get life skills while you get lean. How do you join? Simple. Recite the Constitution in a public commons or violate the Patriot Act that includes simple misdemeanors. It's really that easy to get your own fenced-in slice of Americana. Stop being a fatty. The state is your daddy.
If you like what you are listening to, we appreciate your support. A small contribution from you, the listeners, can continue to help bring you such content and help keep things going here, even if it's just $1 a month. Keep in mind, though, in the spirit of prepping, we believe in redundancy, so it's better to have more than one, but every little bit helps pay the bills. Go to nickpiercemedia.com and click on the Support the Show link. You can make a one-time or monthly contribution in any dollar amount. And again, thank you for your support and listening. You are listening to Are You Ready Radio with Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. Here we are, last half hour. And I do want to, before we run out of time, make sure that I cover some tips, some camping hacks. So, of course, meals. I am going to be working on, and I'm in the middle of working on it now, a camping cookbook. I have the recipes, they're all done. I'm going to be going out throughout this summer, and I'm going to be putting all my recipes to the test that I've cooked over the years, do some nice pictures, kind of clean them up a little bit, because a lot of them I've done for so many years that I really need to really jot down exactly what I'm doing to make it easy for folks to follow. The good thing about this cookbook is it's going to feature recipes that can be cooked both in foil, Dutch oven, as well as your traditional grill. So it can be used, you can do most of these recipes right on the fire very easily. If you have a camp stove, they can be done on that. And if you're looking for some great Dutch oven recipes, then you're going to be able to enjoy some of the great meals that are in this book. Now, the book, I have some of it here. Hold on a second. Why don't we just open up a little bit to give you a sample? And we're not talking about a lot of, typical hot dog, hamburger camping recipes. Chicken quesadillas, Dutch oven Cornish hens, stuffed chicken breast, barbecue chicken. Let's take a look at some of the beef recipes. Obviously, the family favorite, London broil, teriyaki meat skewers, fajitas, right at camp. You can cook them in a foil, a Dutch oven, on the fire, on a grill top. Beef shish kebabs, beef pinwheels, flank steak, pounded out thin, rolled around spinach, some cheese. If you have ham, you can put that in there too. A lot of different things. But I mean, it really is very simple, but yet quite gourmet for camping. I guess we could put it more on the glamping line. And some of the recipes are so easy to do. If you can cook at home, you can cook these at camp. All kinds of different cooking tips for camp and everything. So keep an eye out for that. I'll give you more updates on that as it's closer to coming out, the release. So, but planning your meals. The book's going to have a way to plan your meals and even outline what utensils you're going to need to cook it and the type of cookware you need for it, so that it makes packing to go camping very easy. And it's going to include different checklists and everything. Because the most important thing about preparing your meals at camp is bringing everything that you need at camp to make the meals you want. There's no going to the pantry to get a dash of garlic powder or salt if it's not there with you. For a complete list of gear that I've been talking about this entire episode, if you want your complete camping gear list, go to our social media. And right now I have it up on zombieoutpoststore.com. That's my store in Wilmington, Ohio. Go to zombieoutpoststore.com. You can get there through our, it's under product info for now until we develop the resources library, which is something I'm just started working on. So just go down to the bottom, you'll see the camping checklist and a little bit about the program, and print it out. Make a copy of it, follow it when you're getting ready for your camping trip when you decide you're ready to go.
So check out the checklist there. Now, let's go through some of the camping hacks and tips before we run out of time. Of course, we talked about setting up your camp tent and trying out your grill and all that already in the episode. But when you get to camp, setting up your campsite. What is the layout for your campsite? It may depend on where trees are and all that, but really, you got to find a spot for your tent. And when it comes to your tent, you're looking for level ground. You want to make sure that you look for any rocks and sticks or roots, as I used in the story at the beginning of the episode. That will ruin your sleep. You know, maybe if you're looking for shade, find a site that has some good tree cover. Of course, you never want to set your tent up directly under a tree. And what I always find handy is just having one of those 10 by 10 pop-up, easy-up canopy to set up. This way, I've even, if it was raining, and I would go camping just for the fun of it, I use campgrounds like most people check into hotels for business trips. So if I'm in a town, I need to be somewhere, I'm spending a day or two in town, and it's a little further away, I'll find a campground. So that's kind of like, no matter what, you got to set up your tent, you got to be ready to do whatever it is that you're doing for the purpose of your business there in town. And I use a 10 by 10 easy up tent with a little easy setup dome tent. At times when it's raining, I've had to just pop the dome tent up, or the pop-up canopy at 10 by 10 first, just to have a way to keep everything dry when I set up the tent underneath it. And then I move it out, or I keep it above it. Just another layer, to protecting yourself. Prepping some of the meals ahead of time is another great hack of mine. I mentioned it one of the recipes, the chicken quesadillas. What I do is I pre-cook the chicken ahead of time so that I really don't have raw chicken laying around. And it's just a lot easier because to cook the chicken and then do the flour tortillas and the cheese and all that, it could be a bit of a pain, especially when you're in a hurry. You're counting on that as a quick meal in the middle of the day for lunch. Although I have served it for breakfast. I've made breakfast burritos and all that, even adding some of that chicken to it. But I use like those vacuum freezer bags, so like I let it, pretty much cook, and I'll cook it just to about done. Because campfires and the stove sometimes have a tendency to run hot. I don't want it to dry out. So I still want it juicy, so quick, maybe 3 to 5 minutes tops, depending on your heat, finishes the cooking process without growing any bacteria, as long as you keep it refrigerated or cool. And you just heat it up. It continues to cook or finishes cooking, and it's ready to use. So there's a lot of prep that I do ahead of time for the meals, and this is something that I do for, like, we'll say a lengthy stay, maybe a week to 10 days, 14 days, 2 weeks, somewhere around there. When it comes to your menu, don't forget about breakfast. In the example that I used before in the story that I told you at the top of the broadcast, there was no breakfast. They ate a bag of chips, and for dinner, when the animals ate all their food, little Timmy and Dad just sucked down some beers, passed out, and they were finally able to sleep on the bumpy ground they set their tent up on. Well, oatmeal, those little individual cereal boxes, those are great. If you can find farm fresh eggs that do not have to be refrigerated, those will last pretty much your whole week up there, not take up cooler space, because that could be a bit of a pain, having broken eggs in your cooler because ice melts and shifts and all that. Set up a designated area for your kitchen. I bring a separate table and a separate canopy tent to have over the cooking area, so don't tie up the picnic table and the seating there with a stove and the hand wash stuff and everything when it comes to prepping food. It also helps you with the rain and all that, so you can still cook meals. And how about dealing with bugs? Yeah, don't forget your bug spray. As far as your campfire, make sure you have a way to light your fire and know what you're doing. You don't have to be like an amazing fire starter. If you know how to build a fire in your fireplace at home, or you've built a fire in the backyard, start with really little things first and stack on the big stuff as you get it going. there's no shame in bringing, some charcoal, like you'd light a fire in your barbecue grill in the back of your house. Have a little bag of charcoal and some lighter fluid just to help get you started. This is not a doomsday fit hits the shan survival situation. You're going there to relax. So keep that in mind. Afraid of tripping over your tent pegs? Those are dangerous. I always check the campsite, the entire campground, for tent pegs that people leave behind sticking out of the ground, because your toe will be caught in those, and your trip is over. I've seen where people have ripped their toe off on those. So their flip-flop gets caught underneath them, or something happens, and it's done. So check your area for tent pegs from folks that may have camped there before you that left them behind, sticking in the ground. And then you have free pegs. Also, if you are afraid of tripping over your pegs, don't leave them too high out of the ground. Pound them in as close to the ground as you possibly can. If you have pegs that kind of stick up because of just the way they're made, they don't go all the way into the ground, put some rocks over them. Sometimes tying some bright-colored fabric or string or line or something, or something fluorescent will, on the lines, let you know that your tent peg is there, and you're not tripping over your tent lines either in the dark when you get up in the middle of the night. Ice could be very expensive if you're filling coolers every day. If you have the option of filling up big bottles of water and using those, they defrost a lot slower, especially in hot weather. In cold weather, bring a water bottle with you to put hot water in, like those hot water bottles. Definitely, no shoes in the tent. Always make sure you take your shoes off going in and out of the tent. And I always have some old towels that I keep outside of the tent. So once you do take your shoes off, it kind of keeps the mud. And some people put floor mats out in front of their tents just to kind of wipe their feet off on, because you really don't want to track all that stuff in your tent, because then you just have a wet area that you're sleeping in, and it's not very fun at all. Let's see. Bins. Yes, I believe that before the last break or the break before I said I'm going to get into my bin system, which are actually warehouse totes. They're very durable. Now, they're not watertight, so just keep that in mind. So I do cover them with tarps, but they're not like those flimsy Rubbermaid storage totes. Bins. These things are like very strong, durable. They can take a good beating. Warehouse totes. And it's a way to really keep everything organized. So I pack a lot of canned dry stuff in one. I have a lot of the cooking stuff like pots, pans in another. Another bin has kind of like the junk drawer. I just call it the base camp bin. It's got the flashlights, the batteries, the little first aid kit, walkie-talkies, the power strip, the USB hub, cables, some LED lights to hang in the thing. It's kind of like the one bin that just kind of lingers around everywhere that everybody's always in and out of. It's got more bug spray, the toilet paper, and it's shampoo to refill the little minis to bring back and forth to the shower with you. My zombie soap that I make, I take all those bars of soap. Once it gets down towards the end throughout the winter, I don't completely use it all up. I let it wear down to a certain point where it's still good for maybe 1 or 2 more showers. That's plenty of soap. Plenty to use when you're going to the shower, because the worst thing is you take a big bar of soap up to the showers with you. You take your shower, then you're carrying around this sloppy, gooey bar of soap. It dries out in the sun. Everything sticks to it, including grass, dirt, bugs, and everything. And you kind of just wasted a whole bar of soap. Or you forget it in the bathroom. You drop it on the floor and just like, I'm never touching that. So, yeah. I always bring 2 of those little mini bars of soap with me. If you travel a lot and you go to hotels, you can save some of those little hotel soaps. You can buy them, but they're expensive. So throughout the year, I always have a big plastic bag and containers full of soap scraps, I guess you would call them. When the bar of soap, a full-size bar of soap, gets to the end of it, probably about a week into using it, that's plenty for just one more shower. And then I just throw it in garbage at the shower. On my way out, I don't carry around a goopy mess of soap. Who would think that soap would be so goopy and messy? And you rub it all over your body. Oh, condiments. Don't forget them. Salt, pepper, ketchup, mustard. If you're not dealing with refrigeration or, humidity is always a big deal when it comes to especially salt and dried spices like garlic powder, onion powder and stuff. What I recommend is just get those single packets. You go to Chinese takeout, you go get drive-through, they always give you ketchup packets. Sometimes they give you more than you actually need. Or ask for them. And just say, oh, can I get a few extras? Can I get some extra ketchup? Can I get some extra salt? Can I get some extra pepper? Then soy sauce, duck sauce, hot mustard, ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauces, taco sauce, you name it. You can get almost any kind of condiment you want in a little package, practically free. But, you spent the money for it. Why not use it? Take it. But if you don't use everything you need during that takeout drive-through order, put some aside. I have Tupperware containers in my cabinets that I stockpile those throughout the year. So I have tons of soy sauce, which is great for marinating. It's great for seasoning meats. Salt and pepper by the packet, because a salt shaker out in the humidity when I go camping in the summer, the salt is just one solid block no matter how much rice you put in there. Bugs will get into it. It's a mess. So individual salt packets are great in a plastic bag or a plastic container that you just keep in the middle of the table. People just reach in there, grab whatever condiments they want, they tear it open, and you got some more paper or something for the fire. Let's see. I've read, and I tried this way back when I first started, the pill containers. You can separate different spices, and keep them just in like half teaspoon or teaspoon size servings that you know what you're using. You pop it open, if that's what you're using at that moment. So you're not bringing all the the containers to camp with you that may get ruined, but they're not airtight enough, so the humidity gets in there, and most powdered spices and salt will harden up, and they're not good at all. I'm trying to think of what else I could think of. Throughout this summer, I am going to be shooting a lot more video. My next series of tips from the bunker, the next few episodes, will feature mostly outdoor stuff, camping hacks and tips, but I really did want to share most of these with you. Packing up. Packing up your vehicle when you're about to go camping. Keep stuff that you're going to take out first that you need to set up right away. Typically that's the tent, any tarp you'll need for it, followed by sleeping bags, sleeping pads, and anything. Those are the things you want to load last so you can get to them. They're right on top or right where you open up the trunk, the back, or the door, so that they're ready to go as soon as you get there. Especially if you may be showing up and the weather may not be in your favor, or there could be a chance of even rain. You want to get your stuff set up as quick as possible, so make sure that you load that stuff last. That's the first thing out. You don't want to unload all of your gear just to get to the tent so that everybody can be dry, because then you have nothing but wet gear. I talked about the shower bags, the backpack I have, a little bag for your toiletries. And there's quite a bit. Oh, I do want to get to our financial tip of the day before we run out of time. Yeah, so this kind of goes back to kind of before you start camping, and it benefits you throughout your entire trip. So if you're planning a camping trip, before you book your reservation, find out if the park system that you're going to be camping in, whether it's a state park, national park, or any private park, find out if they offer some type of rewards program, and if there are any discounts available when you sign up for the program or have that program if you're a member of it. Most state and national parks offer a program. They also will offer discounts for vets, scouts, and other private clubs that you may be a member of.
some of the park rewards programs, and I belong to one for Ohio State Parks. I love the program because you earn points for every dollar or night that you spend that you can use for discounts or a free night when you accumulate a certain amount of points. So I have a rewards card. It's for the Ohio State Parks, and by the end of the summer, I camp for free almost every weekend. If I save enough points throughout the summer and I don't use them before the end of the year, they carry over, and I camp for free in the beginning of the year. At one year, I had enough points that I can camp an entire week free just from the points I earned a year before that I never used. That's how much camping I do. But you can save those points and look into the rewards program, not just for the freebies, but also for the points to see if you get discounts. So, and that's our financial tip, prepping tip of the week, even though it's not necessarily about prepping. But hey, part of prepping is saving money, and that money that you save can be used for other resources that you may need. So that's just camping in a nutshell. So, well, I hope that I helped you seriously think, prepare, and answer the question, are you ready? I'm Nick Pierce, the Barefoot Prepper. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and the support you give the show. Our guests, the callers, our friends in chat, listeners, clients, customers, everybody at the store, everything. Find Are You Ready on Facebook and Instagram at Are You Ready Radio. You can also find us on the web at nickpiercemedia.com. Click on the program's link. Find us on your favorite podcast platforms and on our home on Spreaker. To contribute to the show, go to Nick Pierce Media and click on the Support the Show link. Are You Ready Radio is the official podcast of Zombie Outpost in Wilmington, Ohio, and is an NP Media Group production.